I actually don't know how we should start this. We'll do a big clap.
We'll do the clap. Three,
Three,
two, wait.
Well,
No, one person should do it.
3, 2. Okay. Hey guys, this is Alayna and this is Noema.
Hi.
And I thought we'd have a conversation about making my debut album, Self-Portrait of a Woman, Unravelling, that came out this year before it disappears into the musical abyss of our brains and everything else.
It definitely hasn't yet.
So yeah, we're just gonna have a chat. There is no preparation gone into this. So thanks for being here.
Yeah.
I feel like a good place to start would be introducing Noema a bit more. So Noem's one of my best mates, also like longest collaborator in music. We met at Maine's probably a long time ago.
Like, would have been like 2014. I
Yeah.
think I came and joined your class.
Yeah. And we started writing together not long after that. We wrote Falling Autumn, which was my first single, together in probably like started 2016 or 2015.
Yeah. I think we wrote it 2015 and you released... No.
Yeah, released.
No, 20...
Man, one of those years.
I think you released it at the end of 2016, eh?
Yeah.
And...
It came out officially 2017.
Oh,
but
okay.
that was like, but we produced it out
that's
2016.
right. Yes. Yeah.
So there's a story to Falling Autumn. So Noema and I wrote it. I remember that writing session, like it was a cool song. Remember you came to me with the chords and it was like, you had the hook, which was stay till the morning, treat me good. And there was this whiteboard in the room and I was moving. I think by then I knew I was moving to New York for a year. So we're kind of inspired by that and we just wrote up a whole lot of words on the whiteboard and somehow came up with the story of Falling Autumn.
Yeah. I remember you kind of coming to me and asking me to help you take some recordings to like New York because you're going to New York. And so we did your other songs. So we did like Bliss,
High Off You, Falling Autumn, and this other one that never came out, Don't Want Ordinary.
That's right.
It might come out one day. I don't know.
We did those 3 songs, and then I think I remember you saying that you needed kind of like one or two more or something like that. And then, yeah.
And to this day, Falling Autumn has been my most... it's hard to say what success is, but it just went really well, I think, streaming wise. Yeah. And a lot of people connected with it. Like I had so many people that were like, that was my song in 2017 or whatever, and still connect with it, which is so cool because that song took a few, like it kind of evolved further when I brought astronomy in to produce the final result of it. But all of Bliss, Falling Autumn and High Off You all had this like early version that I still love them all of that they're not released, but we did them together and our friend Aaron Strickland.
Did we do Sweet Salt? No, we didn't. I don't think we did that
in
the first first iteration.
But that was another song that was kind of there, but I eventually did
I was actually I'll send a photo of this to you. But I was just moving out of my house. Well, I'm packing my things to move out of my house. And then I saw the first like pink cover that you made for our iteration of that EP before you took it to New York. And that's
crazy.
Yeah, I still got it.
And that's funny. Like this is actually cool. We're talking about it because that EP I made, I just half painted a picture of my face, and again it was kind of like a self-portrait thing. It's been a theme for a long time. I think that's
crazy.
That kind of idea, and because of that, and because we spent that time and that song, I guess we're here now, and it was just so cool for you to be an integral part of like my first single and then go on to executive produce my first album. So it's pretty
lucky me, man.
Lucky me. Noema's a producer, engineer, mixing, guitarist, musical director. What's your official role here at Big Fan?
Here at Big Fan, I'm the studio manager. So, just manage the daily upkeep of all the studios here. If I'm not engineering or producing, that's boring admin things.
He does heaps. And an incredible songwriter, obviously, and an artist himself. So I don't think there's anything you don't do, to be honest.
feels weird, like just hearing you talk to me, like talk about me, and then just thinking about like, oh, because everyone who's gonna watch this already knows who you are.
Yeah, so if you don't know Noema now, you do.
Yeah,
and there's.
I mean, you obviously already know Alayna. Like, that's you want to be watching this, which is great, and I feel very fortunate to have been a part of your journey and to still be a part of it. Like, you're my favorite writer to work with. I love the way we work together. Like, I like how nerdy we are about songwriting, and I like the processes we go through, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Or let's just start it now.
I really love writing with Noema. I think is something you kind of do anyway when you enter like the songwriting room. Is for the most part, it's usually just such a safe space, and I think songwriters just are used to just going there straight away, because you could do all the small talk half the day and then not get anywhere. But I think that's a big part of creating a safe space when you come into the room. And most of the industry and people I've worked with, you learn that pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I think when you have such a long relationship, it just gets so easy, and there's some things that just work, and I think we just work really well together.
Yeah, it's funny you were saying that, because like I think I learnt how to co-write with you. Like, I think you were my first like proper co-writer.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's still my favorite process writing with you. Like, I like how we like to like free write or object write, and to start the sessions, and that usually kind of, well, after catching up obviously, and then that usually kind of sparks some sort of feeling.
Yeah.
Based off whatever object, like Cherry Tree, for example.
I love that story. Let's talk about Cherry Tree.
Yeah, let's talk about Cherry Tree. You start.
There's a website called objectwriting.com, and it's run by, I think, Pat Patterson, who's an amazing songwriter. He's got a few books out as well, but I learned a lot from, like, he did a lecture at uni years ago, and that really changed my life, I think, as a songwriter, because I learned so much. But basically there's a word of the day, and you just free write for 5 or 10 minutes or however long you want, and you can do like the word might be tire or something, or I don't know, random words.
There was a song we wrote off tire, and I can't remember what song it was. Anyway.
with another artist, I think we did.
Yes. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And so the word of the day, I actually, before we go there, I think it's a really cool way of songwriting, because I think there's something scary about just starting to write a song. Like, even the first line, you just don't want to kind of begin. I think like an empty page, it feels like you want to start strong, but free writing takes that away. Like, there's no judgment. Like, you don't have to share it at the end. Like, you might get an idea, you might not. Like, otherwise you can just write, I don't know what to write, like 100 times, and it just kind of warms up your writing, but also like allows you to just do the first part of the dive, I guess, and it makes it easier. I guess it breaks the ice of the day. It's
like stretching before going for a run, or working out or
that's
something.
A better example of it. So and then that day was Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, so that was the object. Well, the word.
The word.
Yeah.
And we had amazing artist, producer, instrumentalist Levi Patel with us that day, and it was our first session with Levi. And so we wrote for that to warm up. And I can't remember what I could probably find the page that I wrote on. But Levi, at the end of it, he's like, the cherry blossoms are out right now in Brazil. Yeah. And we both looked at each other, how do you know that?
Levi, how do you know that the
cherry
blossoms
the most random thing
are blossoming right now in Rio de Janeiro?
And he's like, I've got a friend that they send me photos. Anyway, so that like completely sent us on this path of like, I guess, cherry trees or cherry blossom trees, and this idea of like the cycle that the tree would take, and the blossoms are kind of this final like show they put on before they fall away, and you kind of start the cycle again. It's
one of my favorite lyrics of the whole album. So this time of year the cherry trees blossom, and maybe we're in our final form too.
Yeah. So good.
It's so good.
And I feel like once we started, that song was pretty easy.
It was pretty easy.
I can't remember the rest of the session. It was like that, and then we kind of had the whole song done.
It was pretty much done, yeah. And then after that, it was just arrangement, really, adding the strings, fine-tuning some things. Then the demo vocals, too.
You were going to talk about this.
Oh, man, and those demo vocals were atrociously noisy because we were at my house when we recorded that. And for some reason, that room just has terrible grounding, so we're getting the worst hum ever. And we tried to retrack those vocals.
I tried to retrack those vocals at least
you tried up
2
north,
times.
right?
Yeah.
We tried them here.
And we could never replicate the feeling of, and this has happened to me a couple other times in my career of recording.
I think throughout this album is a lot of that. The ground.
Yeah.
It's another one, the exact same situation.
Man, I think there's something just so special about the day you write a song. And so we've learned, and I think you gave me the rule, you're like, get a good demo like recording because
I learned
chances
from,
are it'll
I
be the
learned
magic
from
one.
you. I was like, oh shit, okay, we have to get it on that day. Because I felt the same way that you did about all those vocals. Like it was just something about when you write it and you sing it that day, I think your whole body's kind of in it.
Yeah, because you're in that whole feeling. You've just been like searching for this song and then you've found it. So it's like a very particular like magic feeling that once you know the song and you've listened to the demo and it's sunk into your bones a bit. I don't know if you can replicate that feeling of that day. And it depends on the emotion. Like A World Without You as well arrived. There were 2 other songs I think I kept the demo vocals because they were just magic.
Yeah. No, they were.
Good time. So yeah, I think that's a big part of our writing process is free writing, and it's helped us. Like I think I don't know.
I feel like every song we started together on the album. So what songs did I do? I did Cherry Trees with Levi and you. The Ground. Ground was actually the first song we wrote for the album. We'll come back to that. So,
Buckle Baby.
Buckle Baby.
If You Want My Love.
If You Want My Love. I think those were the only ones that you and me wrote.
And then you jumped in on Icicles on My Eyelashes.
Oh yeah, I came in and kind of produced those, right?
Yeah.
Co-produced. Meteors.
Meteors.
Yeah.
And then, yeah,
kind of helped you with Absolutely a little bit.
Yeah.
Just all of those. But in terms of the ones we wrote, I'm pretty sure all of them started from free writing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I can't think of any other way we would have done it.
Yeah. The Ground and Buckle and Baby, I have like the voice memos on. I think they were written within like 3 weeks of each other, right at the start of 2021. Ooh. And yeah, I'm sure it was January, February because it was like summer. Like I just released the Tender EP in 2020 and I was kind of writing to kind of explore. And I knew the next thing was an album. Like I felt ready and I had the album concept of like, I guess, saying I don't know my identity and who I am, but I'm going to just show you how I feel in a way. I knew that was what I was going to explore or go on that journey. And those were, other than like Icicles and Absolutely, which were in 2020, which I kind of grabbed later.
Yeah.
The Ground was like the first song. I was like, this is kind of saying what I need to say. Yeah. Same with Buckle and Baby. And then I think as soon as we wrote Buckle and Baby, I'm like, I think that's the first song on the album.
Yeah, because of the first lyric of the song, eh?
Yeah.
Like, Alayna, where are you?
Yeah. I was like, there it is.
What a fluke. What a fluke that was.
Yeah. And that was just like sitting on the couch, I think, and at your flat and playing the guitar.
Well, let's take a step back a little bit. You mentioned the Tender EP. When we wrote Tender, I reckon that was almost like the turning point of your sound to me, like that I noticed, like, because everything before that was a bit more R&B, which was all great. But I remember Tender being kind of the first, like, one that was kind of diving deep into, like a different, like a more emotion, like, you know, deep into like what are you dealing with, what are you thinking about, like,
yeah.
Because the rest were mostly love songs, right?
Totally. And actually, no, that's a really good point. Tender was like one of the first ones about myself and the relationship with myself. And the album, for the most part, ended up being all about that, which is what I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a commitment we kind of made pretty early on. We're like, okay, this is this is just going there. Like this is what the album is. There were other songs that we wrote, which we'll talk about soon as well, that just didn't make the cut. Like they were amazing songs, but they didn't fit the kind of introspective.
And then some of them probably did thematically, but it's interesting, like the ones that kind of stayed as we wrote more, and as I wrote more in like other sessions and throughout the like couple of years, I think there was just a core group that I couldn't let go of. Like and I think I knew when I wrote a song that was right for the album. For the most part, I was like, oh yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
You know, I think If You Want My Love was one that you convinced me to put on. I was like, I really liked it, but I was like, I don't know.
That was the hardest one thematically.
Because it was like essentially more of a love song.
What we were kind of picturing in the early days was this would be towards the end of the album, because we planned the whole arc. And it was like 3 kind of chapters with like some interludes that kind of joined them together. And then that song was going to be towards the end, where
I'm all healed and woohoo.
Yeah, woohoo, I figured
I'm
it out.
ready to love again.
And like there's still parts of that song that do kind of say like things, but yeah, it just, when we started doing the track order, it needed to be where it is on there. Like,
man, the track order. I think that was the closest our friendship for breaking up, because
I was trying to get, I think there were 2 songs that I was trying really hard not to get on the album, and then, which is weird.
Wait, which ones?
I didn't want The Ground On.
Oh,
and
that's
there was another one.
I was trying to get rid of either Art or Ego or Absolutely. I couldn't find where they fit. And you were like, you can't.
There's no way you can get rid of Absolutely. I was trying to get The Ground Off because I wasn't quite happy with where I had got the production of it, which is so funny because now I listen to it, I'm like, that's...
I'm so happy with The Ground.
I'm so glad it's on now.
It was the first song we wrote together and the last one we finished for the album, like down to the wire.
Yeah.
As in, we sent it to mixing, realized there was one piano track wrong. And it was like at the deadline, and I was like, oh no, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Can you rebalance out the stems?
That was not a fun time. That was not.
But thank God we did it, because
yeah, there's so many people who like gave the best feedback on that song. Like, it's at a really good spot in the album.
Yeah.
And then also, like, live, it's fun to play.
That was so much fun.
So fun to play.
I think The Ground, for me, was so special because it, like, it didn't sound like anything. And I think that's why we've found it so hard to find the right sonic world for it. And it ended up sounding a lot like the rough demo we did. We tried to, oh man, there were so many different versions we were trying, like with guitar solos and like... And nothing really fit. And it was just like we ended up just coming back to like square one again with it. Yeah. And it just was perfect. And I don't know, that song was so special and will be so special. So, yeah. I mean, all the songs kind of fit where they were meant to in the end. Like, If You Want My Love was supposed to be empowering, and where it is in the album now, I think it feels a little bit doubtful, which is kind of nice in the space it is. Because the first half is a lot about my mental well-being and my self-doubt and all of these feelings.
I never really thought of that song as sounding doubtful, but literally the title is Tell Me If You Want My Love. How
yeah,
it's as
crazy.
Doubtful as it gets, man.
Yeah. No, it was cool.
It is so funny, like the track order now that we've sat with it for so long. I'm like, I couldn't picture it any other way.
Yeah.
But at the time,
it was so hard.
It was really hard.
The amount of like hour-long walks I went on, just like playing different orders and like shifting things around, and I was like crying. But it's like, it has to be right. And then literally the day of, like I had to make a call, and I think I called my mum, and I was like, I don't know if this is right, and she was like, if it feels right now, that's all you've got. And then it's just is what it is.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, I'm such a perfectionist anymore. And like, that's the thing. Like, we lived with it for so long, and then when it was out, it was like, okay, off you go. You know, it will be what it needs to be for everyone else, which is what I love about releasing music, is that it is like a literal release and just for your brain space. Like, even though the album was finished for a long time before it came out, I felt way different finally releasing it, and just my brain was a bit clear. It's like, okay, it's done. Like
I
it's
couldn't
out in
wait
the
for
world.
it to just to be
like
because I was so ready to write new songs with you. Like I was so excited to like finally like write some new ones because I like love writing with you. So I was like, God, I can't wait till we just get to write again.
Yeah. I think it's so funny to me that I was like wanting to go on this big personal journey, and I would know how it's going to go. And I'd be able to be like, oh, well, 3 songs in, and then I'll realize this big epiphany, and then I'll have this big like change. And then at the end I'll be like, woo, I got it. Like, this is who I am. And I'm like, how? Like, that's not how it goes.
You were trying to plan your own like mental healing.
Yeah.
Like, if I just do it like this, and this,
Which is so funny.
I'll know myself.
And then I think that's why we hit so many walls. Like me, I think I hit so many walls, and I had to step back really at one point, because I was like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to finish this. I don't know if I've got anything left in me, or like the amount of self-doubt that came up all the time is crazy. And there was one thing, this was before I think it was so funny, like it was so obvious Noema was like the right executive producer to help me through it. I don't know, towards the end of 2021 I was like going through a lot of stuff, and I like really needed to like tap out and just take a break and step back, and I was really, I think, struggling. And we're in the middle of like a lot of lockdowns. I think I was in a sort of and so Noema and I were having like a few chats just about songwriting. He was like being the friend and like helping me, you know. He's like, hey, let's just have a catch up, and we had like these hour-long chats about life and music and whatever. But when I told you I needed to tap out, because I just felt like I was losing it, and then I don't know, a couple of weeks later, like a package turns up at my door, because I was at my parents' house. And there were like these, because I love notebooks, that's all I do is just write stuff. There were like 3 special notebooks from Noema, and like this note, and it just like meant, and it was just like, hang in there, bud, you've got this. It was so beautiful.
I forgot about that.
It was like the kindest like thing, and from, I think that was, I was like, of course Noema's the person for this job. Like I've like he's a friend, like he cares about me just as much as like the music. And after taking a bit of a break and getting back into it, like there was no one else who could have actually gotten it to the end thing. Like it was so cool. And I worked with some amazing other writers and producers on the album, and I think everything played a part. But I really needed that person to just help me kind of put it all together. I needed a soundboard.
I was so glad you asked me as well. I was like, she better ask me. I'd be so pissed off if you asked anything else. No, but like, I know, like, I mean, I don't fully know, but I know, like, as a solo artist, like, you need people around you. Like, that's why bands are great, because you usually have other people in the band to kind of sound off. But if you're a solo artist, it can be so isolating. Like, so incredibly isolating.
You can just be in like, I think if you're such a self-doubter, like you could just be in your own echo chamber of like criticism.
You need people to champion you, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it is hard when you are by yourself. Like, yeah, like you said, you get so in your own head, but like everyone else knows, like it's easy to champion their friends. Like you champion your friends all the time. It's the easiest thing. Yeah. But for some reason, when it comes to yourself, it's really hard. And I think that's a feeling that most people feel.
Totally.
So, yeah, you need people around to just say the things deep inside, you know, but it's just hard when you're by yourself.
And I feel like being in the seat that you were in, like, I feel like the most important thing, I don't know if people, when they go on to make or they might be thinking of making a project or an album and looking for the executive producer role, I feel like the most important thing above like musicianship or like experience or any, like it has to be someone that you 100% trust and a friend who like will support you, and that's what you were, as well as being great in all the other things, but like someone that I wasn't afraid to like speak up and say, oh, can we go in for the millionth time in Meteors?
Wish you were afraid. I wish you no, just kidding.
But like I think that safety and that trust enabled me to say the things in all the songs that I really needed to, and not feel, I know some people maybe are different to me, but I am easily kind of, I go into my shell, or I'm just not an overly confident person. So if I'm in the room with someone who's maybe too dominating, I could probably like hinder myself or like quieten my voice a bit. Yeah. So it has to be someone that you trust and who's willing to go through the hard yards, because it's tough.
Yeah.
So I mean, we had so much fun, but like there were some tough times, and I don't know if it's like, not in a negative way, but the amount of hours and revisions and like circles would go in. Yeah. You know, I can't even calculate how many hours.
It was a lot. It was so much. But that's kind of what my role is. Like, it is to kind of go through all of that with you on the music side of things. And that's what I wanted to be. And it was tough, but I'm so glad being on the other side of it, like that we did it together. Yeah. I feel like it kind of changed me like a little bit, like in a good way. Like, went through a lot of things during all of that.
Man, career, like even watching you as a friend, like career wise.
That's what made it tough, actually. Yeah. Like, that's what made it really tough. So yeah, getting this job here at Big Fan just happened to coincide with us trying to get this album over the line. And so I suddenly became, I went from being time rich to extremely time poor. And so, I mean, actually, it was also a good thing me being here, because we were able to do a lot here.
So in this room, Studio 1, we spent a lot of time.
A lot of time in here, and in Studio 2. So it was like a blessing and a curse. Like, I lost time, but suddenly we gained access to nice sounding rooms, good gear.
Totally. That was huge, man. Yeah. Like, trying to make an album, like, it's so expensive to make an album anyway, but that, like, was such a plus. And it was like such a blessing. Like, that wasn't there at the start.
No, that was not planned.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
I didn't really think about that.
And I kept thinking, I was like, oh man, this is tough. Like, just having no time. We were doing a lot of late nights. But yeah, so good to have this place as well. Yeah. So, I don't know how we would have done it without it, to be honest.
Nah. Man. No, it was so good. Thank you, Big Fan.
Yeah, thanks, Big Fan.
Shout out to Big Fan.
Yeah, well, that was the first major project ever made here as well.
Wow. What do you think? Do you have a specific highlight of making the album?
I have a couple of highlights. So for me, always just the songwriting sessions. They're always my favorite part. Like the day we write something, that's always the best day. Those were always the easiest days too. The hardest days were always finishing the songs, like getting the arrangements sorted, figuring out. Like, that was always the hardest part. But the easiest part was when we would initially write the songs. And those were by far the most fun parts. And still the most memorable for me. Yeah. The other big highlight was when we did the listening session here, where you had like all your friends and stuff. And it was my first time actually listening through the album properly, like everything mastered in order. Because every other time I'd listen, it'd be quite fractured and like always with like objectives. Where this time I was like, I could just listen to it. And I was just blown away. I was like, I couldn't believe how good it sounded. I couldn't believe how much work we had done. I got so emotional. I was definitely crying. Just thinking about
pretty special.
All the work we put in. And just that was my first proper time listening through to it.
Crazy.
So that was a big highlight as well.
I guess maybe an exhale for you, because it was like done.
Yeah, that was kind of my part Well, at least in that sense.
Yeah.
In the production of the album, that was kind of it.
Man.
Yeah.
Like we're in here, I've got photos I can share, but like we had all the tracks like written down on pieces of paper.
Yeah.
And we'd like shuffle them around and like their meanings on the back and see if the story made sense.
Yeah.
And then if I don't know, it's crazy. It went through a lot.
What
So
was-
to like have that final moment of like, that's it.
Oh, I know.
That was good.
very nice. What was your highlights?
Oh, I didn't think you'd ask me the same question. I think the ground, like that kind of month, I felt really excited and quite free because it was just so new. And I was like, oh, this is something. It was like a little North Star had appeared, and I was like, okay, and it was quite nice. I think I made the whole process so much harder for myself somehow. Like, I don't think it had to be so hard.
There's a lot we learned
Totally.
from making this album.
Because
I think we'd both do differently next time.
Yeah. But I mean, that's how it goes, right? You just have to learn. It's your first time trying to do it.
Yeah.
Both of us had never made a big project like that before. No. And so it was kind of fun because we were literally just learning as we went.
Yeah.
But I think the day I'd get a song, and there's like a specific, like when I wrote Arrived, it was just a session, I think maybe my first or second with Josh Wells, the producer, and I remember like my hands shaking. He was making this like beautiful like world because he's like such a musical whiz, and I got the like lines and they just kept coming, and I was so excited, like I couldn't.
Cool.
It was like I was just trying to catch the song as it came.
Yeah.
And I remember it so vividly, and I'm like, oh, thank God, like I said it, Yeah. That was like something that I think for me, that song was so freeing because it made me realize I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
It's not gonna end up where I want to or where I thought I was going
where
to.
you imagined this album was gonna take you.
Yeah. And I think in that way I was like, oh, I think maybe it gave me a bit of a breakthrough for the rest of my writing or the rest of the journey. But I was like, oh, I need to like follow the music.
Yeah.
Like go where it wants to take me rather than where I think it should go and where I think I'm supposed to go.
Yeah.
And then like another one was just like playing it to my parents. Yeah. And they just like danced around.
Cute. In the lounge.
Yeah, it was so beautiful. But I mean, like, there was so many. I videoed a lot of the album making, especially a lot of our songwriting sessions, and I'll go through them eventually.
Yeah, scary.
But there's hours and hours, and the amount of I think the amount of laughs we had in the studio was a lot.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of joy in the middle of like some pretty heavy songs or like pretty serious songs. Like we had so much fun, and I think that was such a big part of it.
Yeah, you're right. Those sessions to me were always fun, and always came out feeling very excited. Not even knowing if the song was going to come out or not, but just like just knowing that I enjoyed that process.
Yeah, I think that's the best. That's always the best day when you get one, and you just drive home from the session. I just feel like that's the one time in my life where I'm like, I'm good. I can relax tonight. I earned it.
Yeah. That's all I want my job to be. Is like, and I think I've told you this heaps. Is like I actually don't really like producing that much. I think I've come to love it a bit more now. But I love songwriting. Yeah. Like that's just the best part by far. It's like it is work, but it feels compared to the rest of the journey that the song has to go on.
Yeah,
it feels a bit more effortless.
Because that's like the creative part of it. That's the fun, and that's like the childlike, I guess, part of making music.
Yeah.
And then everything else becomes the adult.
Yeah, that's the production. God damn it.
But, which is crazy because you're an incredible producer.
I'm still getting there, man. But what I learned from this is that I love exec producing. That's a lot of fun. Like I don't mind being behind the computer, and I think I'm better at it now than where I was at the start of writing that album. but I do like being the kind of like tag team partner.
Yeah.
That's quite fun. And like even I can't remember when we talked about it, but when we were first kind of going over what the concept of the album was, it like dawned on me real quick. I was like, okay, we're not writing hits here. Like we're writing like they're kind of like art pieces. They serve the concept, like the vision. They don't. Yeah. And like there were a few songs where I'm like, man, sonically, I would have loved to have heard those on there. Like things like Love Letters.
Yeah.
Like, because I loved that song. Oh, there's other reasons that didn't make it. But who knows? It might come out someday.
Maybe one day.
I know I was really surprised If You Want My Love made it because of that as well. Like, as we were talking about before. Like, it didn't feel like at the time that it was going to fit the whole story, unless it was at the end. But how you were saying, like, there's that kind of bit of self-doubt in there. And there's even a lyric, like, even like time is slipping through my hands. Like, trying to, it's kind of alluding to you giving in.
Yeah.
Like, how Arrived really says it.
Yeah.
Like, If You Want My Love kind of alludes to that in a different context, but still kind of alluding to the, like, I give up. Like, like
exactly.
that kind of feeling. Like,
exactly. It's kind of the start of the unraveling.
yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing is just unraveling, I guess. I asked people.
We're up to question time.
Should we do questions?
This is the segment of the podcast where, what's it called? What are you going to call this segment?
Questions about, I don't know. Ask Alayna anything. I'm bad. Okay. Is there a deluxe coming soon?
Wait, did you ask that? Or?
No, I promise I didn't ask any of these questions. That's a good question because
that is a good question.
Business-wise, that's a phenomenal, good idea.
Yeah.
You know, give the songs another boost. I mean, potentially, if there's a lot, I love the album as it is. I think it's perfect in its own kind of way. I almost don't want to touch it for reasons I've just gone over for ages, but I think it's perfect. I think there could potentially one day be
what
like
is a
B-sides?
deluxe version? Is it the B-sides? Is it remixes?
So it depends. I think if you're like a big artist, it'll be like the song but featured, or this remixed, or like a demo. Like there might be a few little extra things, but I'd do like a B-sides or like.
Yeah, because there were a lot of songs that didn't
many.
make it. Like even before we started the album, or like in the very early days of it, I remember I asked you to show me like all of the songs you'd written over the last couple of years, and I think there were like 40 or 50, and this was including songs with like other producers and all of that, and there were heaps there.
There was and I think that's where Icicles came out of the mix, which was from like and Absolutely were the same.
Yeah.
I found like Sleeping Beauty was an arsonist.
Oh yeah.
Remember when I wrote the song? It's so sick.
Yeah.
Thematically, it works. It was just such an experiment.
It was
musically.
Yeah, it was a big experiment. But like lyrically and all of that stuff.
So good.
I loved that. I still love that.
Yeah.
Like every now and then I listen to it. And the ending of that is really cool.
So cool.
Actually, part of the ending
is I was here, I was always here.
Yeah, and that's in one of the interludes, right?
Yeah.
And that came from that song because we loved that part.
So Sleeping Beauty Was an Arsonist is another song Noema and I wrote. It might come out one day, I don't know. But there's basically a whole lot of stuff that was written in that world and that time but didn't make the album that maybe I'd want to share later. I'm not sure. But at the end of that song, it was like this whole theme and this story. And at the end, it was about a little girl being like, where are you? And the same person saying back, I'm here, I was always here. And I ended up singing that and playing the Meteors chords and recording it as like the footnote or the outro of the album. And I loved like just the cyclical nature of the like Alayna, Where Are You is the first track, and then I'm Here, I Was Always Here as the last track. And then also you're driving and you come to a stop somewhere and then you close the door because like Buckland Baby was like we're going on a drive or like a journey.
Yeah.
And I just love like it finished, so I'm like it closed the book a bit.
Yeah.
Unfound was a great song.
I really liked that.
That was
one
a fun
too.
song.
I forgot about that one.
Man, we got so.
That was at Rory's, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got like a list of demos. Anyway, to that question, nothing planned, but maybe I'd share some stuff later.
Oh, there are questions on there. There's a lot.
I'm not just making I'm just lying. What inspired other than nothing? It made me cry so much. Oh, I know this lovely girl who's been messaging me. That was really. So I wrote that with Joel Jones, another awesome producer up here in Auckland, and I think I just wrote it. Another one that just fell out. I don't remember the writing day as such, but it was all there and written that day. And no, actually not. I had the first 2 lines already. I was going for a walk like months earlier, and I was singing like, "Oh, maybe low, but at least I'm feeling. Maybe so, but at least I'm healing." I had those 2 lines, and I always knew I wanted to do something with them. And then I don't know how much longer, and I took them to the session, and I think I had like the first, like the C in the Air Force. I was just playing 2 chords and playing it, and then that song fell out, and I love that song so much. For me, it was the perfect song to close on. I knew it had to say it, like lyrically, it was the last thing.
Yeah.
Of just being like that feeling of like I can't, like I'm okay for right now, and I'm feeling something, which is huge, especially from talking about so much numbness and not feeling, particularly in the first part of the album. And for I guess people who like understand, I just know that it can feel like such a triumph. And for me, I feel like that was like the fireworks, kind of the quiet fireworks at the end of like something so personal. So I had to say it, and it had to be there as like the little positive note, because there's a lot of heaviness.
It's such a good spot on the album.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it. Really, I think we tried putting it in other positions because
sonically
it kind of worked, but just thematically, that's kind of where it had to be.
Yeah, because sonically it could feel like it could have gone anywhere, but lyrically I was like, it has to go there.
Yeah.
Which song was your favorite to record for the album? Ooh, I feel like If You Want My Love was pretty fun. I remember I was super hungover. I was in this room. We were doing all the BVs. And that's why my voice was real gravelly and low that day, because someone was like,
yeah. It's funny. I was just listening to them before on there, and I was like, oh yeah.
Maybe soloed, they're not so good, but as together.
yeah. They're definitely textures.
Meteors was, I loved, as hard as Meteors was, I loved when we got it. When we finally got it, that was such a good feeling. Yeah,
I really liked the guitar layers in that.
Yeah.
That was fun. I really liked Icicles. I really enjoyed that one.
That was cool.
That was like it was a pretty short session, and I think you had already done the guitar, and I think you had done the whirly.
I'd done the whirly and the vocals, and you came in and we did the guitar and the drum, and we just had one single drum.
Yeah, the floor tom and doing stuff on that. Yeah, that was fun.
Actually, I really liked that song.
That was an easy one. Really easy.
Everything, like, it was so organic, and it was very clear what it needed and what it, like, it didn't need much else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. If you had to cut a song, which one was the hardest to let go and why? So we've kind of been talking about this.
Which one was the hardest to let go? It's the one that didn't make it.
Love Letters, I tried. There's this song, Love Letters. It might come out one day when I rejig it. It's great. But I couldn't make it work, and I couldn't find the right melody for a specific part.
We tried it. We tried a lot. I was so stuck on that original one.
Yeah. That was tough. And it's a cool song. And one day we might find the right way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, because the lyrics in that song are really good too. Like the verses.
Yeah.
They're really good.
It's like, could you paint me if... Oh, I don't want to say it.
Could you paint
me if you were an artist? Could you write me if you were an author?
Yeah.
Could you speak in my language? I'm just aching to be seen. So good.
Yeah. And it's so funny how we had all the paint imagery in there as well.
Oh, we were like, this is perfect.
It was perfect for the album.
Maybe that'll be on the deluxe.
Yeah. Sleeping Beauty was another one.
Yeah.
Where, like, I'd still would like to look at that song at some point. And at least the chorus. I love that chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really good chorus.
What a shame.
See the Notre Dame flames.
Who would do such a thing? Everyone watching this hates it because they're like, I don't know that song.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Sorry. But who knows? Maybe you will one day.
That's good though, because there were ones that either like we tried to cut and we couldn't because it was too hard to let go, and I'm glad we didn't. You know, so
I'm glad. But just on that topic as well, there are also like parts of songs that got cut. Like not Love Letters. If You're My Love had a whole like.
Oh yeah.
The reason it ends like that on the recording, where it just hits the root notes like 3 times, is because
it's like a reverse Pharrell.
Yeah, it was when I was first kind of arranging it. It was going to go into this kind of nice. I still really liked the melodies that we had in that
sick.
part. It was really cool. Now I can't hear it any other way, but.
Man.
There was that. I feel like there was another song that had something similar, but I can't quite remember. Yeah. Anyway, so there were even parts of songs.
True, I forgot about that. There were definitely other ones as well. I mean, the ground got lengthened and then shortened. The middle interlude, Will She Come Home, was part of actually a longer song, which I really loved thematically.
Oh, that was really cool too. Yeah, the one you did with Lucas.
Yeah, so that's with Lucas Farikut. His producer name is Squibs. And it was this track, really cool.
It was a really cool track.
And it was called Frankenstein. It's like, here lies the woman I once was. She trusted way too much, but herself not enough. Made up of everyone's opinions, skin sewn from cadavers, Frankenstein would be jealous. And it's just basically like, about like she doesn't know herself because she's just trying to be the right person for everyone else. And then the end part was, will she come home, will she come home? And so I just cut that and made it an interlude. I mean, the Frankenstein song's sick, but I was like, it was probably too mellow for like a mellow album.
Yeah.
So I don't know, there's so many things we could pull and like resurface one day. Do you have a favorite recording session from the album? And or most memorable writing session?
Oh, for me, most memorable was probably Cherry Tree.
Yeah, no, that was beautiful.
But
that was magic that day.
Yeah, I still remember The Ground really well. I still remember Buckland Baby really well. The other one that's pretty iconic to me, but I didn't write it at all. Actually, it was just you. Was Meteors, because that was like that was a bit of a turning point. Because I remember you talking about like not. So this is about favorite writing sessions. I don't know if this is your favorite, but it's an important one because I remember we were talking and you kind of were feeling like you couldn't write by yourself anymore. Like you were kind of like semi-reliant on the collaboration process. And I was just like, bullshit. You're one of the best writers I know. And I made you write a song by yourself.
Yeah, so Meteors, the only reason Meteors is a song is because of Noema. And that was in the time when I was like, I think it was just before I took a break or just at the end, I don't know. And I was telling Noema, I was like, I genuinely don't know if I've got it anymore. Like I've lost it, or maybe I've just, that's it. And he was like, all right, this is what you're going to do. He's like, we're going to catch up in a week and you're going to write a song and record it just on your phone, I think. And it has to be finished. And like, just like it can be shit. Like it doesn't matter.
Absolutely trash.
But he's like, write a song, finish it and send it to me just to like prove to yourself that you're capable. And I wrote Meteors and like, it ended up being one of like my favorite songs in the world.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was a very sad song. Like I wrote it at home on my parents' piano, and all of those feelings in the song, like that's like they're very real. So it's quite an emotional song for me to listen to. Like I was listening to it on the way and I just listened to the album again because I need to refresher.
It's the same with me. Like even I get emotional listening to the lyrics in that song because I know what it's kind of about. And then like it's the second verse that kills me.
Me
like,
too.
I'm like, oh man.
I was literally like sitting in the house I grew up in, like feeling like I was at emotional kind of rock bottom. So it like it takes me there every time. But such an important song for the journey. And yeah, it just means so much to me. And I think another one for me would be A World Without You with Devin Abrams, amazing producer. And I think that song, as I was talking about at the start, like the importance of like a safe space in a recording studio. That was the first time I'd ever met Devin. And for some reason, like I had this chorus that I would kind of been like protecting or like close to me. I was like, I don't even know if I want to do anything with it, but I just had a feeling like that was the day to write it. And that song, for like so many reasons, is just like really precious to me. And was emotional, man, but like I kept having to just run off to go to the bathroom and like have a moment. But like I remember having a year later listening to the finished version of that song, I think the master of it or the final mix, and I was like, that's why I write songs, like to access that part of myself. It just made me in a world you want to feel really seen, but I was able to feel seen by myself because I was able to access the feeling and not like be scared of a feeling, just like go straight into it. And I think that song will always just be so precious. Yeah.
Kind of 2 points on that. If you know Devin Abrams, it's buzzy that that's the song you wrote with Devin Abrams.
Yeah.
Because Devin Abrams is he's high energy, man.
Totally.
And all his music is real high. I mean, no, he actually is a beautiful composer. But
that's actually such like high energy person and personality.
Yeah.
And I think that's such like amazing that we wrote that song, and it just shows like his capabilities of like
the
skill
feeling and the love of the art form.
Yeah.
And
I have so much respect for Devin and so much love for him because he put so much into that. And I think everyone who like touched that song, I had James Bush, a cellist, and Nick Dow on the piano. Like everyone was just so beautiful, and I think, and that's like the same for the whole album. Really, everyone who worked on this album are incredible people, like good people.
Yeah,
and that's always been important to me throughout. From music, I think when I just kind of started my career as such, or like properly as an artist, I was like, I need to make sure that. Well, like what I want is to work with good people and be good to work with, and just try to like. And I've been so lucky, like surrounded by incredible people.
You picked them well.
I did. How much of a vision for the instrumentation do you have before the studio, e.g. The Ground arrived? Love your work, hands down, NZ Album of the Year.
Oy.
What a comment. Good question. Let's talk about The Ground.
Oh,
because
The Ground was like a little bit of context for The Ground. So actually, that chord progression, I had written that for another artist, and I thought I was going to use it with that artist, and then that artist kind of flipped on me, not in a bad way, like flipped genres completely. So I was like, oh, okay. I still love this chord progression. And then I think you had come over literally like the next day or 2 days or something after that. And I showed it to you. And then it was our first time writing together in forever. Like since Tinder, probably.
It was a long time. At least like a year and a half. I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I loved... For some reason, I was hooked on kind of like melodic contours and like kind of having flowing melodies rather than just like chopped up hooks.
Yeah.
So I was getting really over that at the time.
Yeah.
And I think you were kind of on the same buzz. Anyway, wrote the song, basically just acoustic guitar and vocal.
Keys?
I think we came into another session, worked on
guitar.
it like a rough arrangement, which ends up being kind of the arrangement essentially.
Yeah.
But that one was a tough one, man, because I think we kind of knew what it should sound like, but we just couldn't get it there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I never wanted it on the album, because I was like, it was like an itch I couldn't scratch.
Yeah. And I think we had
frustrating. Like
no reference. For most of the songs we didn't have much of a reference, and I didn't want that. I didn't want to I so easily get swayed or influenced, and I was like intentionally one, I just didn't feel like listening to music for whatever reason, like just the space I was in, I didn't, and I was just really trying to like learn to trust my intuition of like, what does it need or whatever, and try connect to the thing that knows it, you know, like that I think sometimes you can feel. And but I remember there was like, I probably had like a handful of songs, like a couple of songs I'd say like, I want it to feel like this, not instrumentation wise, but I don't think the ground had any reference at all. We were just like
no. We were trying to put references. Like there was like there was Frank Ocean, there was like Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
There was going to be a guitar solo in the ground.
It was going to be like Pink Floyd. And everything we tried just didn't work. It was cool, but it was like, no, that's not it. And
there were like big synth layers.
Yeah, man. So that one had no reference, which is cool, which is why I think it feels so unique, because it was just its own world.
In general, like I remember us in the early days talking about like somehow this album has to have some sort of sonic identity, and it was a big thing for me, and I was like, what's it gonna be? And it's so funny, like you can't
Does it?
I realize you can't really prep that. Like I like how you said there weren't really any references, and I can hear that in a good way now, because there's certain sounds now that I listen to the album, like that's kind of the Alayna sound for this album. Like it is the janky guitars, like
which is your chorus guitar. Was that right? Or
yeah. It's not this one. It looks a lot worse than that guitar.
It's like Bridge is a popsicle stick. That's what you hear at the side of If You Want My Love. It's the most beautiful sound. It has so much life in it. But man,
it's things like that. It's the hammers on the piano. Because we mic'd it so badly. So it's like, it's all those like intimate sounds that just bring it into reality. Like
it feels very pure, I think. And almost like that childlike feeling, like of not really knowing what you're doing, but like following your way anyway.
Like Absolutely is another one that kind of showcases it. Like the lack of consistent tempo.
No, because I didn't write it to I didn't play it to a tempo.
Oh my god!
And I like shuffled some things around, and he was like, there was one bit you still can't.
I still can't. It's still like
you shifted that too early.
Yeah. That's kind of the sound of that album. I think it's like that real, like this is what a room sounds like. This is what it sounds like when you record something on your phone.
I think just probably really honest.
Yeah.
Not super polished in a lot of ways. Some songs felt more polished for whatever reason, and
which are kind of nice though, because they kind of help break up the.
Oh yeah. They kind of take you to different universes, I think, depending on where it is.
Yeah.
So for Arrived, I remember talking to Josh that day. Oh, what I was talking about, a feeling, and I think the only like couple of songs I've been listening to were like. One of them was M83, My Tears Are Becoming the Sea. And I just listened to that song over and over, and it's this incredible like cinematic masterpiece that just takes you to outer space basically. And I was like, I just love how this feels. And I don't know how to, it's not like sonically, we don't have to go there, but I love like this emotion in it. And we kind of talked about it at the session, and then talked about other songs or whatever. And most of that production, Josh just did that day. Like he just builds, like it's quite interesting.
The layers.
Have you worked with Josh before?
I've never actually had a chance to.
Yeah. You can hear it in his
fan.
production, right?
Because I work with Paige as well, so I get to see all the stems and go through them all.
Man.
And then even same with going through Arrive, and you just kind of see all the layers that he's put in. And
he just builds like he's just like he's literally like a sculptor, and he'll just like the chords were like on my little keyboard, my travel keyboard I brought in, like that sound from the keyboard. Right. It's like a real shitty kind of organ sound. And then he just built from these two chords, and just like, and I was like furiously like scribbling in the corner, like all these lyrics were falling out. And and then like pretty much he added like a couple little bit of sauce probably at the end, but that was all him just, I guess, building that day, which is so, and that's just like, once you get it, you just take off and follow it. So again, those songs just came out how they were supposed to, I guess.
What's the second song on the album called?
Who Am I Now?
Who Am I Now? That production and the sound for that is incredible. And like hearing that right after Buckle Baby is just like, there's nowhere else that song could have gone.
Yeah.
Because just hearing that kind of refreshing, like hi-fi production after this like really gritty like ending to Buckle Baby is just every time.
So that's John Mark Nelson over in LA, and yeah, I love that song. I'm pretty sure he did most of that just in his home studio. He's got this beautiful upright piano, and yeah, such a care for like every kind of sonic element.
It's
on that
so
song.
nice right after Buckle Baby. It's so refreshing.
He nailed it. I mean, the caliber of like all these producers is just crazy. But yeah, other than that, there weren't any unlikely or unexpected influences. We just kind of kept things at the, like, there were random things that, like Coldplay. I loved how Coldplay felt. Yeah. For a few tracks, especially, like I was like, I just feel it's in that world.
I think because we didn't have a lot of influences, weirdly, it's become like a lot of sessions that I've done since this album, I used the album as a reference. Like, you know, like the bridge to Buckle Baby, how it's just like humming a melody.
Yeah.
And it's just chaos. Like the amount of sessions I've done, and that's kind of been the thing, like after chorus 2.
Yeah.
It's just like humming some sort of melody. And yeah, I've used that as a reference a lot.
What change did you see in yourself after it was released? That's a really good question. I think I knew I wanted to make like an album, like a first album, and especially because the theme and what I knew I wanted to like write about, I had that for like 4 years before we started even making. I feel like when I first released my first song, I started knowing what the album was going to be called and I knew I wasn't ready for it. So I never imagined life like after doing the album. Like for me, that was my big like checkpoint in life.
I remember even asking you about it. It's like I'd ask you about, what are you looking forward to after this, and you just couldn't. You couldn't see it. Like
it's just like that was my thing that I wanted to do so badly, and I guess it was such a massive year, and like we did so much for the release and did like a really beautiful release show or a couple of release shows, and kind of coming down after that. I called you the night it came out at midnight.
Oh yeah.
I think I called you. Did I?
Yeah, you did.
And then I called Tara.
I think I was here working late.
And I was like, oh my God. And I remember that. I stayed up till midnight just to like listen to it by myself in my room. And then I called Tara, my A&R, because she like lived through the album process with me, and like that was just so special. But I think I went through like a bit of grief, which was weird, because I think maybe because I put so much writing on this, and the songs were so much of my journey, I felt like a bit of loss letting them go, because they were so special to me, and maybe grief because that massive part of my life had like finished, or I'd done it, and I'm like, oh, now I've actually really got to think about the next part. Like I didn't have to before.
That's scary as well. It's like graduating high school, like, and you're like, now what? And then you graduate uni and you're like, shit, now what?
I think life is just a whole lot of now what's. Like once you like get to the other side of something, you feel like a bit wobbly, like almost like a little fawn, like trying to get on its feet for the first time. Or like, I don't know, it's just really weird. Yeah. And also part of me wanting to like, for a while I just wanted to like retract and like protect myself, because I think it feels really weird to try and promote an album that's so kind of heavy, or like
so introspective. It's only about you.
Yeah.
It's literally not about anything else except you.
Yeah. And it just felt weird, like trying to parade it around me, like, listen to my album. It's all about me and my tough stuff. Like that was really hard. So I had like this juxtaposing feeling of like needing to like do the album, like give the songs justice and try to push them out so as many people could hear, because they deserved it, but also feeling kind of weird about it And so part of me was just also wanting to like hide away in a corner.
Yeah.
But now I feel good. I'm like, it's done. It's out. And I think hearing from people that it's connected with has just meant so much. Because I went so inward, I was like kind of scared that no one would really get it. I think there was a big fear.
It's funny though, because like you think like if you intentionally write a song for someone, it's never going to hit. But for some reason, when you go deeper into yourself, it connects so much more.
Yeah.
Like weirdly, the feelings start to get a bit more universal, or I don't know.
Oh man, I think that like you have to go inward to go outward
Yeah.
in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like the more in, the more you will properly connect with someone. Because I think a lot of our feelings, as unique as they are to us, and this is just my favorite thing about music, is just hearing someone say something so that feels so specific to you or your feeling, or like articulate something.
Yeah.
It feels like I don't know how to explain it, like someone to rest your shoulder on, like when you feel like alone, like a song can do that for someone.
There was a video about songwriting that I saw. I think it was by a writer called Ralph Murphy, and he was saying that literally your favorite songs are about you.
Yeah.
You know, like
Man.
your favorite songs ever are for you. Like
Yeah.
they wrote them about you. You know,
Yeah.
and that's
And I've
how it
felt
feels.
that, like some songs I'm like, no, that's me. That's my,
Yeah.
who are you? Like,
yeah. That's literally
it's
about
crazy.
me. And they always come at the time where you needed them the most.
Man, yeah.
But in saying that, because your album is so introspective, it would be, I could imagine, quite hard having your friends and family hear it.
Yeah.
That would be the hardest thing, right?
I got so many beautiful texts from my mum and dad, just like listen to it. They have a joint Spotify account, and all like their top 5 songs were all album songs.
For the raps. Yeah. Of course they were.
I got the most beautiful texts from both of them, like listening to the songs and just how proud they were of me. So they get it,
Yeah.
you know. But it does feel like pretty revealing.
Yeah, revealing, very vulnerable. I mean, that's
it's not
the
my
word,
favorite part of
very
making music.
vulnerable album. Like,
Yeah. The next one's not going to be that vulnerable.
We'll see.
I don't know.
I can't imagine.
I can't do this.
I can't imagine.
Did you change after the album?
Did I change after the album? Yeah. I was like, I'm never exec producing it. No.
Never before. This
No,
bitch.
yeah. Did I change? Yeah. I think with any project you're involved with as a creative, you grow in all kinds of ways. Like, I almost wish I could do that album again with the skill set I have now. But there's no way I could. But yeah, just I'm far more skilled producer now than I was then. I learnt what I like process wise. I learnt that if I'm doing an album, that I would prefer nothing to be released until the album's finished.
Yeah, this is a good. Have all the songs done, like off to mixing at least.
Yeah,
Before you start
got it.
releasing.
I got why we had to, but man, that made it stressful. Like deadlines are good. Deadlines are good, but that was tough, man. I think from a creative perspective, because I think we're both perfectionists. I've actually become significantly less of a perfectionist since that album. Almost to a negative degree. So I need to kind of rein some of that back in and care a bit more. But I'm like, nah, it's perfect already.
Man.
Yeah, just general growth, I think.
Yeah, so much growth, I think, on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Oh, out of all of your songs, which one has the most lyrical high points? What are they? For me, oh, man.
There's a lot.
I'm so proud of all of the lyrics on the album.
Yeah.
I think Art or Ego, I was trying to think of the song we haven't talked about yet, and a producer as well with Simon.
Oh, yeah, Simon.
So
mixed the whole album. He's pretty
shout out
important.
to Simon. Simon Gooding is a legend. Noema was patient with me, so was Simon.
Yeah.
I had to go back into the mix so many times.
Not because of him not nailing the vibe. He always nailed the vibe pretty fast. Like it was
Yeah.
like
Oh man, the first
second,
mix.
yeah, like it
He'd
was so
usually-
fast. He nailed the vibe. It was just the tiny little like artist's taste details.
Yeah, yeah. He was so great to work with, and he was overseas at the time, like living. He'd just moved over to New York, so it was all online. And this is why Keith gets a special thank you on the album, because so I'd get a mix overnight, and I'd wake up at like 6 a.m. or as soon as I woke up, there'd be a mix in my inbox, and I knew I had to get back notes like fast because we were just on a deadline, and so I'd be like blaring Meteors or like Arrived in my headphones right next to Keith, who's like trying to sleep, and I'd be like listening to it like 10 times, and he'd be like, bro.
yeah, we love Keith.
But Simon was incredible. I took Art or Ego to Simon, and he just created such a beautiful, beautiful world for it. But I think, is it for the art or the ego, the self or the sorrow? I really don't know. Like those words were so important for myself as a person, and something I still think to myself. I wrote that song when I took myself on a writing trip, and I was like, I'm going to write the rest of the album this week. It's just so stupid. I'm like, I'm just going to...
Did you go to Raglan?
I went to Raglan. I just went and got like a little Airbnb, took a week off, like was like, I'm not going to go on the internet, I'm not going to go on social media, I'm going to write every day. Yeah. And then I obviously had so many breakdowns because I was like, I can't write.
Very bleak. like you came, I thought it was going to be amazing, and you came back
a beautiful
not happy.
setting, like man, it was a beautiful place. And the only thing I wrote was Art or Ego because I was so pissed off at myself. I was like, what the fuck am I doing this for?
The pressure on yourself.
And I'm so glad I wrote that song because it like made me question. Well, it was just my questions about everything. Like, why do I actually make music? Like, am I making an album just to make an album, or do I want to enjoy the creative process? And at that point, I wasn't enjoying the process. So that's like a really special song to me. Oh man. I think Meteors is special. Like we're Meteors anyway. Oh, sending flares. Oh, send a sign for me, anyone, if there's anyone listening, sending flares, but no one's come.
Yeah.
I guess we're Meteors anyway. So I was like,
yeah, love it. Maybe
we're supposed to be like Meteors. I loved that. The ground is sick.
Yeah,
the ground. The animals in the clouds was such a good lyric.
Yeah.
So like the ground is like, maybe life was better when I was a kid. Maybe we just need to try to be children again and like look at the world through children's eyes. And like we were like, when's the last time you've laid down on the ground and looked for animals in the clouds? Like when was the last time we actually just did stuff as kids?
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Another one that I love is in Absolutely. Actually the whole of Absolutely is just I think all the lyrics in that song are beautiful, so simple. Like, do I want this, absolutely, like the imagery that you use in that song.
I like, actually, that's cool.
I think still Absolutely is my favorite song on the whole album.
It's my dad's current favorite as well.
Current favorite.
He updates the new favorites every now and again.
Nice.
Yeah, man,
a lot of lyrical highlights. Like I feel like there's no lyrics on there that don't feel good.
Yeah. Like, I think I care so much about lyrics. You care so much about lyrics. Like nothing was good. Like there was no like, oh, that's good enough.
No. It was like, oh yeah, shit, we got it.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful that we had someone like a Simon who's just like literally the most beautiful person.
Yeah.
Like someone so nice, but also someone so skilled. And just to have that consistency over the album to bring it all together. Someone who kind of got the vision.
I just remember that the first mix he did was of Cherry Tree, and that was like phenomenal. Just hearing all those strings. I mean, that was probably one of the hardest songs to mix, I presume. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was a real special moment. I was like, oh, this is cool, man. And it was really nice. Like I wanted, so much of the album was like about me, and it was home. So so many New Zealanders that part of the album, like so pretty much all of it.
So mastering was probably the only thing.
And John Mark in
LA. And
John
Mark. Yeah, that's right.
So shout out to our master Joe Laporta from Sterling Sound.
Yeah. smashed it.
Always smashed.
Like, because
No
I'd never heard
complaints.
of him, and then you told me about him. I was like, oh, okay, I'll look him up. I was like, oh, okay.
The man.
He's pretty dang
He's never
good.
let me down.
He's got his own Mix with the Masters video. Like,
He's great. I've just been so lucky to have him, I think, on every song I've released.
yeah, he's
It's
absolutely smashed
so
it
cool.
every time.
So many good people.
Network.
Yeah, Network, my amazing label, were just so great this entire time, especially Tara, my A&R, who I just adore.
Yeah.
She's like a sister. She knows the songs better than me. Like, she knows
Yeah.
every lyric. It's crazy.
They made this so easy. Like, they
Yeah.
kind of just left it to us,
Yeah.
but like would just kind of gently prod every now and then.
Yeah.
But overall, like creatively, it was just like,
That's the thing.
man.
It was the perfect people, like perfect partnership, it feels like, with Network for this. They were like, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
We're here to support you. Just send us some music back.
Yeah.
Your deadline.
And that's what happened.
And yeah, no, I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
New Zealand On Air,
Yeah.
such amazing support for all the creative side of it as well. I was able to do so much with the
Yeah.
support. And I think, everyone who leaned in, Nick Nack was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Man, and like just an insane amount of friends and family. It's too much. I'm very, very loved and lucky.
Like, obviously, all the musicians.
Beautiful strings players, engineers.
Yeah, of course. Piano,
Nick Dow,
yeah.
James Bush on the cello. For Cherry Tree, we had Charmian, Rachel, Sophie. Jacob Rush was engineering those. Damien Graham on the drums for the ground.
Damo.
The man. Man, so many people. That's all like this recording
did Orbs
part
do
of
any
it.
piano?
We had Orbs come in.
Orbs did a little bit here and there.
I think we used Orbs for so many versions of things.
Yeah.
We've got so many of her takes.
Yeah. I'm sure
Orbs is just the best.
there's some Orbs in there somewhere.
There's always
Shout
a bit
out
of
to
Orbs.
Orbs, legend.
Yeah. And Big Fan gave me so much, like, I don't know, they were so supportive as well. I spent a lot of time in these rooms. I cut a lot of the vocals myself in the room, and I think it was just for like certain songs, it just felt like they were just so personal. I needed to just do it myself.
Yeah.
It was a great time. And I'm glad we talked about it because
We've been wanting to do this for a long time.
yeah, it was a special part of my life. I mean, it was like 3 years of my life at a really massive point in my life as a person too. So
Yeah. I feel like we're both very different people now
yeah,
coming out of it. Yeah, it was a long time. But because a lot of it wasn't, like, it was planned but very unplanned at the same time. Like, we put a lot of time into thinking about, well, trying to make it something.
yeah.
And then it kind of became something. And then we tried to recontain it, but it kind of kept...
It was like, nah.
Yeah. But I feel like it was true to what we set out for it to do
Yeah.
in the end, which was to be the self-reflective journey to,
Yeah.
look deep inside. And
Totally. I think I learned so much about myself, and then, yeah, it took me on the journey it was supposed to, and I'm grateful for it. It's like a timestamp for my life, and
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I literally would have been pissed if you had someone else produce that. I'm so mad. But yeah, looking forward to writing more songs.
Yeah.
Finally.
Who knows what's next? I still don't know, but
Nah,
we'll see.
we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Bye. It felt like someone was like interviewing us, but no one was interviewing us. Like,
did good.
We did really good.
Knowing what we're doing.